Okay, I want you to picture the scenario. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. You're in that deep, perfect REM sleep. And then it starts. That persistent, rhythmic yowling from just down the hall. Or, maybe for you it's the middle of the afternoon. You've just started a really important Zoom call. And that's the exact moment your dog decides that the mail truck 2 streets over is an existential threat.
That is the universal soundtrack of being a pet owner, isn't it? Is that perfect intersection of love and just sheer exhaustion.
Exactly. And our default, I think, for most of us is to treat that noise as like a discipline issue.
Right. My dog is being bad, or my cat is just trying to annoy me.
Yes, and we try to shush them, we get frustrated. But today, we're doing a deep dive that argues we should completely flip that script. The idea is that the noise isn't a behavior problem, it's a communication problem.
And if you're just trying to quiet the animal, you're basically just holding a lid on a boiling pot instead of, turning down the heat.
Right. And to guide us here, we're digging into Pet Noise Decoded by Daniel Martin.
He's a veterinary surgeon, over 10 years in the field. And what's so great about his take is that he's looking at it from both sides, the medical and the behavioral. His whole point is that we need to stop hearing noise and start hearing data.
And that is the mission for this deep dive. Learning to hear the data.
Mm-hmm.
And to kick this off, there's a stat in the book that honestly, it just stopped me in my tracks.
It's the moment that really frames the whole problem, isn't it?
It is. Get this. Martin cites a survey showing that in English-speaking countries, more than half of pet owners admit they can't reliably tell the difference between an attention-seeking sound and a distress sound.
More than half.
More than half. I mean, that's wild when you actually think about it.
It really is. It means 50% of the time, when we think our dog is just being demanding, he might actually be having, like, a full-blown panic attack. Or vice versa. We're misreading the signal half the time.
And that's where all the problems start, right? That confusion. If you can't tell I'm bored from I'm terrified, your response is going to be wrong. So let's unpack this. And the book starts with evolution, which I found fascinating, because we just assume dogs bark. That's what they do. But Martin says that's not quite the whole story.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
This is where it gets really interesting. If you look at wolves, their closest ancestor, they're actually pretty quiet. A wolf might howl to gather the pack or give a sharp bark if there's a real threat, but they don't just stand around barking at leaves.
So the classic dog at the window barking at the world, that's something we did, a human invention.
We literally engineered it into them. Over thousands of years, we selectively bred the dogs that were more expressive, the ones that made noise. We wanted an alarm system. So when your dog barks at the delivery guy, they're not misbehaving. They're running a genetic program that we installed.
Which totally changes how you see it. It's a feature, not a bug.
Precisely. They're wired to talk to us. But then you look at cats, and the story gets even weirder.
Because we didn't want them to be loud. We just wanted them to, catch mice. A silent job.
Very silent job. And in feral cat colonies, adult cats almost never meow at each other. They use scent, body language, a hiss, maybe a growl. But the meow, that sound is language developed almost entirely to talk to us.
Okay, this is the part where I started to feel a little bit manipulated by my own cat. Martin talks about the solicitation cry. Can you break that down?
Oh, your cat is 100% doing this to you.
Yeah.
Research shows that cats have learned to change the pitch of their meows to match the frequency of a human infant's cry.
You're kidding. So they're mimicking a baby.
Yes. It's in the 300 to 600 hertz range, which triggers the same part of our brain that a crying child does. It creates a biological urge in us to respond. You can't ignore it.
That is both genius and slightly terrifying.
It's pure adaptation. They figured out that that specific sound gets the food bowl filled. They're hacking our psychology.
So, okay, they're wired to talk to us, sometimes to manipulate us. So how do we decode it? Let's start with dogs. If my dog just will not stop barking, how do I know if it's, hey, someone's at the door versus I'm losing my mind?
So context is everything. Martin draws a line between what he calls alert barking and excessive barking. Alert barking is functional. Someone knocks, the dog barks a few times, you check the door, the dog stops. That's the job.
Okay, that makes sense. Standard procedure.
But excessive barking is when it disconnects from the trigger. The mailman left 10 minutes ago, but the dog's still frantically running around barking. That's a sign that the noise isn't about the mailman anymore. It's a symptom of an internal state, usually anxiety.
And a huge piece of that is separation anxiety. I hear about this all the time. My dog screams the second I leave the house.
It's massive. The book says something like, 14 to 20% of dogs have clinical separation anxiety.
Mm.
And this is so crucial for people to get. That dog isn't trying to annoy your neighbors. They aren't punishing you.
Right. That's the myth. He's mad that I left.
But what's actually happening physiologically is that the dog is in a state of panic. Cortisol is spiking. They're genuinely terrified. So yelling at them for it, it's like punishing someone for having a panic attack. It doesn't work.
That completely reframes it. It's fear, not spite. What about the other end of the spectrum? Just boredom. We have these super smart working breeds stuck in apartments all day.
And unemployment is a huge cause of noise pollution. I mean, if you have a border collie that was bred to run 20 miles a day and its life is a 10-minute walk and a couch.
It's going to invent a job for itself.
Exactly. And that job is often chief of neighborhood watch. I will bark at shadows. I will bark at dust.
It's self-stimulation because their environment isn't providing any.
I also found the part on fear-based barking really important because you see a dog straining on its leash, barking like crazy, and you think, that's an aggressive dog.
A dominant dog. That's the label we always jump to. But Martin explains it's often the exact opposite. What looks like aggression is usually a distance-increasing behavior.
Distance increasing. The dog is saying, you are scaring me, so I'm going to make myself look as big and loud and scary as possible so that you will please go away. If you respond to that with dominance, you're just proving their point. You're confirming that the world is a scary place.
That makes so much sense. Okay, let's pivot to cats. What about the night shift, that 3 a.m. concert they love to put on? Why?
Well, part of it is just biology. Cats are crepuscular, so they're most active at dawn and dusk. So when you're in your deepest sleep, their internal clock is screaming, it's time to hunt. They've got all this pent-up energy.
But you mentioned there's a darker side to this, especially with older cats.
Yes, and if you have a senior pet, you really need to hear this. Martin talks about feline cognitive dysfunction.
It's basically dementia for cats.
Essentially, yes.
Yeah.
And the statistic is staggering. Over half of cats aged 15 and older show signs of it. A key symptom is disorientation. They wake up in the dark, they don't know where they are, and they just start wailing. It's a cry of genuine confusion and fear.
Oh, that's heartbreaking. So it's not them being annoying, it could be a cry for help.
Absolutely. And it warrants a vet visit. Another big medical one is hyperthyroidism. It's really common in older cats, makes them restless, hungry all the time, and they develop this loud, constant, almost manic meow.
So again, the noise is a medical red flag.
Always. Rule out the medical stuff first. That's the book's mantra.
Okay, let's talk about the really primal sounds, the howling and the yowling.
The sounds that go right to your soul.
Yeah.
Right? For dogs, howling is an ancient long-distance "where are you" signal. Sometimes it's just reflexive. A siren goes by, and the pitch just triggers them. They have to join in.
Like a big group sing-along.
Exactly. It's social bonding.
Oh.
But if a dog is howling when it's alone, that's the sound of deep, profound loneliness. It's them sending up a flare. I'm here. Where is my pack?
And for cats, a cat yowl it's intense.
It's guttural. In a cat that isn't spayed or neutered, it's often about mating. But in a fixed cat, a yowl, which is much longer and louder than a meow, almost always signals serious distress, pain, or confusion.
And pain is the big hidden factor here, isn't it?
It's the most misunderstood cause of noise. Martin says a sudden whine when a dog stands up, or a sharp cry when a cat jumps down from something. That's often the very first sign of arthritis or dental pain. They vocalize the pain long before they start to limp.
Wow. So a change in sound means you should check the body.
A sudden change is always a red flag.
Okay, so we've decoded the pet. Now for the hard part. Decoding ourselves. Because the book makes it pretty clear that we're usually making things worse.
We are often the biggest part of the problem, usually with the best intentions.
Yeah, the section on the yelling mistake hit a little too close to home. Your dog is barking, so you yell, "Hey! Quiet!"
And what does your dog hear?
Oh, cool, the big human is barking too. This must be serious. Let's all bark together.
Exactly. You're just raising the energy. You're validating the alarm. You're not calming them down. You're ramping them up.
Then there's the slot machine effect. This one blew my mind. How do we turn our pets into little gamblers?
It's a classic psychology trap called intermittent reinforcement. So your dog barks for attention. You ignore him for 5 minutes, then 10. Finally, at minute 20, you just can't take it anymore, so you give in. You toss him a toy or yell at him.
You caved.
You did more than cave. You taught him a lesson. You taught him that the price of your attention is exactly 20 minutes of nonstop barking.
Oh, no. So now that's the new baseline.
Next time, he won't even think about stopping at 10 minutes. He knows the jackpot pays out at 20. You've made the behavior stronger, and much, much harder to get rid of.
That is deeply unsettling, and it makes so much sense. What about punishment tools? Shock collars, spray bottles?
The book is very firm on this. Those tools might stop the noise, but they don't address the reason for the noise. If a dog is barking out of fear and you shock him, you don't make him less afraid, you make him more afraid. You're just adding another scary thing to the situation.
You're suppressing the symptom, not treating the disease.
Right. And you risk creating what's called learned helplessness, where the animal just shuts down completely. It might look like a quiet, well-behaved pet, but it's actually a depressed and terrified one.
So if yelling is bad, giving in is bad, and punishment is bad, what do we actually do? What are the solutions?
Okay, so the first pillar is enrichment. It's not just about physical exercise, it's about mental work.
Like those puzzle feeder toys.
Puzzle feeders are great.
Mm.
And Martin also recommends what he calls a sniffari.
A sniffari, I love that.
Yeah. Instead of a forced march, you just let your dog lead the way and sniff absolutely everything. For a dog, sniffing is like reading the news. It burns way more mental energy than just running.
And what about for cats?
For cats, you want to complete the predatory cycle, let them stalk, chase, and kill a toy like a feather wand, and then immediately feed them their meal.
So they feel like they've hunted for their food.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It satisfies that deep biological need. Then they groom, and then they sleep. It's using their own nature to your advantage.
Okay, pillar 2 is predictability.
Anxiety loves chaos. Animals that have a reliable routine for meals, for walks, for bedtime, have measurably lower stress hormones. They don't have to worry about when the next good thing is coming.
That makes sense. Then there's the one strategy I think we all get wrong. Reward the silence.
This is maybe the most powerful and counterintuitive tool. We tend to ignore our pets when they're being good and quiet, right? We only interact when they're demanding something.
So you're saying when my dog is just lying there peacefully, that's when I should go give him a treat?
Yes, walk over calmly, drop a treat between his paws, and walk away. You're capturing the calm. You're reinforcing the idea that quiet gets me good things. If you pay attention to noise, you get more noise. You pay attention to silence, you get more silence.
It's so simple, but it requires being proactive, not reactive.
Which is the hardest part for us. And finally, the golden rule we already mentioned, the medical rule out. Any sudden change, the first stop is the vet.
So as we wrap this up, the big takeaway isn't that you're a bad owner if you have a noisy pet.
Not at all.
It's that you're speaking different languages.
I think the summary is that every vocalization is a request. The request might be, I'm bored, or I'm in pain, or I'm scared, but it's a need trying to be met. The goal shouldn't be silence for silence's sake. It should be understanding. Because once you meet the need, the noise usually goes away on its own.
It's not about finding the mute button, it's about answering the question.
Precisely.
Before we sign off, there was one last concept in the book I found really thought-provoking, the idea of agency.
Learned agency, yeah. Martin suggests that a lot of pets make noise out of sheer frustration because they have almost zero control over their own lives. We decide everything for them.
When you put it like that, yeah, I'd probably be screaming too.
Right. So the final thought for you to take away is this. Where in your pet's life can you give them a little more choice? Can you let them choose the direction of the walk? Can you hold out 2 different toys and let them pick? Can you create a safe space that is just theirs, where they can go and no one will bother them?
Giving them a little bit of control back.
Exactly. Because a pet that feels like it has some say in its own life is very often a much quieter and much happier pet.
I love that. Give them a vote. Well, this has been a complete eye-opener. I will definitely be listening to my cat's 3 a.m. concert with a lot more curiosity tonight.
And maybe a little less frustration.
Hopefully. Thanks for tuning in to this deep dive. We will catch you next time.